Hi friends, my name is Borrodante and welcome back to SCP-096. So we're back to this. Now, I did a tiny fix on the groin area, made it a bit shorter, and sort of having this plane at the bottom that I didn't really think through before. But the other thing, I had like a big break after the last video, like for a couple of hours. That means I'm going to bed soon, so we'll continue this with a different shirt, I suppose. But what I really noticed after a break is that the shoulders are totally too narrow. We should make them way wider. So let's start with that. I guess let's just use liquefy for that. Well, that's hard to see. That's better. I have a little white spot there. Sloppy me. Also, let's see, maybe we fix a little bit of the torso shape as well, because he looks a bit too, I don't know, like a box. Okay, so I need to plan my power supply and develop the strategy. I think we'll be drawing tonight some basic color spots, at least I'll start doing that. And then I'll switch shirts, and next morning we'll continue a little further. So the atmosphere, let's use actually just dark gray. That's gonna be cool. Like really dark, because we really want to show actual darkness. Okay, we'll do it like this for now. So let's think through. The bright light spot will be around here, and everything else is kind of a reflex. Or more than that, a bright spot from the door here, and also a flashlight on the main character. I think that will work a lot better, because we need kind of some sort of light on his head, because we want viewer to be killed by him, of course. So let's say that the light from the hallway is slightly warm, and the light from the flashlight is really white, like maybe slightly cold, just to make them a bit different. I hope I won't regret that. Now let's do a colder light from the flashlight. So I'm creating basic light spots, kind of trying to leave edges darker, but this is only the beginning. There's a lot of things to consider to make values properly. So now I'll use low opacity and tone down areas that face away. Areas where the surface of the body doesn't face the light source directly. And this thing is like basically a tool to define absolutely all the details on this character right now. The value thing is really important here. So, if I will really think right on everything, we'll start getting a really good feeling of the geometry and the nature of lighting in the scene. It's gonna be awesome. So this is a thing to spend some time on, but that won't be the end. Because after that we also have to consider that at the top, character is further away from the flashlight, and at the bottom he's a lot closer. That means that at the bottom all the light altogether will be brighter. Oh yes, it's working. Let's also add this light. Let's start with big spots to actually be able to see anything. So this is actually the kind of light, like the whole direct light from the center, which is a really cool horror kind of style of lighting, especially like horror game kind of style, which is really cool to practice in painting. I really wanted to try it out for a long time now, so I think we'll be doing more paintings in this kind of look. Right now looks like a very old video game without projected shadows or anything. We'll add those soon. We'll also add a little bit of special, slightly directed ambient light. But for now, let's think on the actual direct light. So here I am darkening everything a bit. from the top. And let's light up a bit more from the bottom, make even brighter color. Now let's drop a little bit of shadows. So for that we're assuming that the flashlight is a little bit lower than the camera. That's why our guy is casting a little bit of a shadow at the top edge of his body. And the higher it goes, the longer the shadows. And the more distance from the body to the wall as well. Also, let's go a little bit to the left, I suppose. So the door light is softer. So we are supposed to be spreading the shadows a little bit. Make them softer at a distance. I love how this light will create this effect, like we're not actually seeing his face. But later we will be adding like a super tiny ambient reflex from the bright walls and everything, and there will be slightly barely visible silhouette and some details in there, plus some highlights on his eyes and maybe the skin that will reveal some disturbing details, but you won't be able to be completely sure if you actually see his face or not. I think this is an interesting thing to play with this particular character. Kinda cool. Also another thing, like I'm talking about analyzing the angle at which the surface is looking at the light source and making it darker where it's facing away. But thing is, for different materials, it's actually there's a different strength of this effect. For instance, human skin isn't getting dark too fast. Let me explain what I mean right here. I should probably do tutorials on this kind of stuff, but we'll do that later. Some update on rendering materials and such. So let's say there are two spheres. One of them will be metal and another one is kind of a plastic. So metal, if it's lit from the center, or let's go with slightly from a side. Where are you at all? Right, so from here it's lit. Then we'll be going like the brightest spot is the one that's actually looking towards the light source, and everything that's facing away more and more will get very noticeably darker. That's why metal has this feeling of depth, like it looks heavy, because it has this effect like very strongly. You can easily read the geometry on the metal. You can see how the brightest area is just this little spot here. Everything else is getting dark really fast. And in case of plastic or, well, kind of skin too, we will only go super dark where it's like completely over 90 degrees away, meaning that point on the surface doesn't even see the light source at all. Like if this is a planet, on that side there's night, there's no sun at all. And on the bright area, there will be the same kind of gradient, but it will be revealing this terminator, so to speak. That's the line of the sunset. If it would be a planet, that's what terminator is. The terminator will be a lot sharper visible. Like on metal, you can barely, like you don't really see this terminator thing because the brightness of material fades away very softly. It fades away smoothly into the terminator, so there's no actual line of terminator. But in case of plastic or skin, or think of stone, just white, dry stone, like a rock on a mountain, whatever. Not polished or anything. This feels a lot more like stone right now, right? Because we can see this edge here. It feels dry. Metal feels heavy and stone feels dry because of this effect. And what's interesting, if we would pour water on this stone, this effect would change closer to metal. It will become a lot darker. Wet surfaces usually look darker. Well, that's exactly because this in 3D graphics is called roughness of material. So whenever object gets wet, its roughness becomes lower, and we'll see how the stone becomes darker. But still, if we're lighting up the stone directly at 90 degrees angle, it will still be probably as bright. And then it dries again, And we get a sharp terminator. But again, it doesn't mean that there's completely flat surface. Still, the very brightest point, the place that's facing the light source, will be the brightest area still. It will be noticeable. So kind of like that. Let's erase these balls and keep on working on them tits. Some direct shadows from the body onto the body as well. Okay, so far not so good. Can't really figure it out. I think we need to make light softer from the door, because right now it looks kind of weird. Just two sharp spots on the picture. And totally add more reflected light from the floor light for sure. But anyway, I'm going to bed now.